Talk and sports leader.
Fox News Talk 1240.
Well, if you're in Paris right now, which you probably aren't actually, just going by our demographics, then you're upset about Uber, probably. Lots of people have been protesting Uber, the ride-sharing service in Paris, the capital of our good buddies over in France. People are protesting. Now, people have been protesting Uber, not just in Paris, but people have been protesting Uber here in the States, and not necessarily taking to the streets, but people have been taking to the internet to discuss how upset they are with the ride-sharing service. People have brought up actually pretty good points, I'll give them that, about how it's not fair. It's, if Uber can go without regulation, then all taxi companies should go without regulation. Or if Uber is the only company which can go without regulation, then it should have to have regulation as well as the rest of the taxi companies. It's kind of complicated. It's a really complicated topic, and there are some really good points either way. The problem is this: if Uber is going to do what Uber is going to do, there has to be that one breakthrough company that changes everything. So what the feds are trying to do is trying to stamp out Uber and say, you are not a ride-sharing service, you're a taxi service, which arguably they kind of are. And we're going to force you into these regulations, which of course means that Uber is no longer the unique company which it has been in the past. That would destroy Uber's whole image. That would destroy it as a company. And it's not the job of the government to destroy companies, even though they're very good at it. They are actually quite good at destroying companies over in the Fed area, the Fed sector, as I like to call it. Something of note, back in the 90s, people were very upset at Microsoft for petty nonsense. It took it to the Supreme Court, actually, for, again, petty nonsense. Basically, the complaint was that Microsoft was packaging in Internet Explorer with Microsoft Windows. I'm not kidding. That was the complaint, because people saw that as unfair, and it's unfair because you don't get all the browsers, you don't have all the different options. Because back in the 90s, there was Internet Explorer and there was Netscape, and I think Mozilla came along a little bit later. So those were basically your three options. Remember, Safari is not a thing yet. This is the early 2000s. This is before 2001, so Safari was not a thing yet, as far as I know. And this led to an antitrust lawsuit, which led to Microsoft being heavily regulated by the feds, which led to the Microsoft which we have today, which is not the juggernaut which it was in the 90s. So Microsoft as it is today would not be the Microsoft that it is today without the help, so-called, of the feds, which made it so that the Internet Explorer division has to be different from the Microsoft Windows division. And it was a lawsuit led by people who didn't understand how computers worked. And it seems like we're seeing that also with Uber, where we're seeing complaints against Uber made by people who don't actually understand how technology works or how ride-sharing companies work. And it's just complaints about how it's not fair. Well, guess what? The free market is, well, actually, it is very fair, but it's not fair in the sense that everyone gets an equal opportunity, because it doesn't work that way. That's not how the free market works, actually. I can come out with an idea that is actually very novel. It's an incredibly advanced idea. And I try to gather venture capital, and I open up an office, and I have my business here in Chattanooga. Well, Chattanoogans don't really identify with that idea, and my business flounders and dies. Well, over in California, somebody has exactly the same idea and does exactly the same thing I do, and they become a multi-billion-dollar business. That's just the free market. That's just how it is, because some things will market to some demographics and some things won't. That's just how it works. It's not unfair. It's actually very fair. It's just market. That's how it works. There are people who will like an idea, and there are people who will not like an idea, and welcome to the free market. That's just how it works. So to be upset about that is to be upset at the free market process, which you're free to do, of course, obviously, but you can't call yourself a free marketer and also support government regulation. It doesn't really work that way. It's like you can't possibly be a free marketer and also support the Reagan embargoes. You can't. Reagan was not a free marketer. There's no way he could have been, because he pushed embargoes on Japanese cars, which, had he not, the American car industry would have died. To which I say, good riddance, because the American cars are crappy. So he couldn't have possibly been a free marketer if he's pushing these ideas. That's just not how it works. So you either are a free market advocate or you are not. And as far as I know, there's not really been a free market advocate in the White House in ever, if at all. So it's not something really to be annoyed at. It's not something really to be worried about because the free market doesn't require a president. So we can just work around that. But people say, well, Reagan was the pinnacle of a free market, is the pinnacle of a free market president. If Reagan was the pinnacle of a free market president, I'd hate to see what the antithesis of a free market president would be, because Reagan was not very good for the free market. But anyway, people bow at the feet of Reagan, and it drives me nuts. Like, get out of the past, man. There's so many other things happening, and people want to keep calling back to Reagan, and it doesn't make any sense at all. You know, it's like there's better things going on right now. Reagan's dead, for one. I mean, rest in peace and all, but he's not around anymore. Well, there are protests in Paris regarding Uber. Don't know how we got onto Reagan bashing, but there are protests in Paris right now, and apparently Courtney Love was somehow involved. I never thought I would have to say Courtney Love's name ever on the air. I never thought I would have to talk about Courtney Love, but I do. Courtney Love, in case you don't know, is the woman who was married to Kurt Cobain for a while, and I believe they had a child together, and she was in a band, the name of which I don't remember, and she had a very short solo career. She still has a solo career, actually, and she was sort of the Yoko Ono to Nirvana's John Lennon, in this case being Kurt Cobain. So it's I can't say that I'm a fan of Courtney Love. I'll put it that way. I'm not a huge fan of Nirvana either. I think Mudhoney's a far superior band. But anyway, Courtney Love apparently managed to escape the Paris Uber protests on the back of a motorcycle, because apparently the protests got quite heated. Now, I don't understand the animosity towards Uber. I really don't. You have a lot of taxi drivers here in the States who are mad at Uber because Uber runs a better business than the taxi companies can. And for some reason, that's a terrible thing. Well, it's not really. It's a service that's being afforded that's much better than the taxi company service. If the taxi service was that much better than Uber, then everyone would be using the taxi service, right? Like, that's a reasonable assumption. That's a reasonable expectation, not of privacy this time. So it's a reasonable expectation to say that if the taxi companies were running a better business and a more convenient and more popular business than Uber, people would be using the taxi companies over Uber. But we're not really seeing that. So we can then assume that the taxi companies are, in fact, running an inferior business to Uber, and Uber is actually running a much better business than the taxi companies can. And I wonder if there are taxi drivers who are, I don't want to say acting as plants, but who are instigating some of these protests against Uber. It does kind of make you wonder. Now, you have to keep in mind, we live in a society where we're used to control and we want control. Yeah, that's something that has to be remembered right off the bat. In our society, we want control over the markets because we see it as the safest thing, even though it's not really. But we see it as the safest move, where if we just put control over the markets, then things will be okay. If we just put control over the markets, then we won't have another incident like Enron. If we just put control over the markets, and we won't have another incident like the 1929 Black Tuesday or Black Thursday. I can't remember which day it was now. I always forget. There's Black Monday, I think, in the 60s. And then there was another Black Day. And there's Black Friday every Christmas and all that, or every Thanksgiving, I should say. But nevertheless, we had quite a unexpected and quite obnoxious problem in 2008 where the economy kind of collapsed and people immediately clamored for control. Everyone wanted control at that point. There needs to be somebody to stop this from happening again, they said. We need agencies to stop this from happening again, they all said. When in actuality, I should say, it seems that the government was actually creating the problem much more than it was solving the problem back in those days. And that's still the case. So calling for controls over the market is actually not going to fix anything. It's just going to create more problems, as we're seeing with the whole Uber debate. If there were no controls over the taxi industry, then we wouldn't even be having this debate. But unfortunately, there are controls over the taxi industry, and that being the case now, we have to abide by those rules as good Christians and good citizens. We have to abide by those rules, even though they're really hindering us in quite a obnoxious way. Well, Courtney Love found herself in the middle of an anti-Uber strike organized by French taxi unions. You see, according to The Verge, by the way, by French taxi unions this morning. And she took to Twitter to rant about it. The musician if you want to call it that, was apparently traveling from one of Paris's airports into the city when her car was attacked by protesters, violent taxi drivers, I guess. Today's strike was organized in protest against Uber's low-cost Uber Pop service, which French taxi unions say gives an unfair competitive advantage to the ride-hailing app. Well, no, that's actually called business. If I can sell a product at a lower rate than you can, that's your fault for not being able to sell that particular service at a lower price. That's, again, called a free market system. Well, Courtney Love's tweet storm began with a message to Kanye West, of all people, whom she apparently crossed paths with at the airport, and then she included a picture of a car's broken window. And I'm not sure if she was in an Uber vehicle, but nevertheless, she apparently claims that her window was smashed by protesters. Her tweet soon veered into the hyperbolic as the situation unfolded, with Love claiming that her driver was taken hostage and appealing to President Francois Hollande to intervene. She also likened the atmosphere to a war zone. Now, I'm not sure if Francois Hollande is a Courtney Love fan, but nevertheless, I doubt he would give special attention to Courtney Love either way. Fortunately for everyone, Courtney Love eventually paid two women to bring her into Paris on the back of their motorbike, though they were still chased by protesters throwing rocks, according to a tweet that she later protested. Maybe they're all conspiracy theorists who believe that Courtney Love had something to do with Kurt Cobain. Her harrowing experience ended with smiles and peace signs when Love finally arrived in Paris, though she still seems very upset about the whole deal, saying that she's scared out of her wits. She wrote on an Instagram post this afternoon before questioning whether Hollande is a president or a libertine, saying, "I can't believe this really happened," she wrote. "Love French people, but your government blows." Yeah, well, welcome to government, Courtney Love, because they all do. That's just how it works around here. Actually, it's how it works, period, anywhere. So control is not really helping anything, and the French unions are very upset. Understandably, I suppose, if you're stuck in the taxi business and you're stuck as a union person, I guess, then you're going to be stuck in that situation where you have nowhere to go, really, because the unions are holding you back, the government is holding you back, and there's this new service that's doing much better than you possibly could. It's understandable that they're upset, but they're upset at the wrong party. The person they should be upset, or a person, not person, but entity they should be upset at is the government, not Uber. Uber found a clever way to get around regulation, and more power to them. Taxi companies are not that clever, and thus they're getting very upset. And it's understandable, their upsetness, but it's misplaced, to say the least. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. We are everywhere. Listen live to Hot News Talk Radio at hotnewstalkradio.com. Download the TuneIn Radio app and search for Hot News Talk Radio. Hot News Talk Radio is on Twitter, where you report the world decides. That's AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. You can save half off right now. Go to hotnewstalkradio.com and click on the half off link for great deals. Hot News Talk Radio is saving you money. That's AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. My dad and I were just talking today about how the price of healthcare has gone up so much and how annoyed he is at that. He was telling me about a friend of his who back in the 70s broke his leg, and he had to get his leg in a cast. He was playing basketball. Actually, a mutual friend of ours. In fact, David Toulis knows him as well. Goes to our church. Broke his leg playing basketball as a younger guy. Had to put his leg in a cast and X-ray and all that. Guess what his medical bill was? You won't believe it. $5. Now, $5, of course, in the 1970s is more like $500 today, I think, due to inflation. Now it's more like 15 or 20. Still, though, $5 was, that's not much in the 1970s to get an X-ray and put a cast on. What's happened that's causing the price of healthcare to go up so much? Well, it's a really long and complicated thing, and there are many books written about it, but we do have solutions. You're the solution, actually, and so is David Red, who's a doctor over at QuickSurge. In fact, he's a surgeon. He's a real legit surgeon. He has a walk-in surgery clinic in the Public Center near North Shore, or on North Shore, I should say. He'll remove moles, skin tags, cuts, and lacerations over at QuickSurge. He does not take insurance because he takes cash customers. He has super low and fixed prices. He takes credit cards, checks, or cash. The prices are not a secret. They're online on his website. It's hassle-free and pain-free, and you get a personal relationship with your doctor. The National Medicare system, or National Medical System, there we go, is dysfunctional, overpriced, and impersonal, and David Red is part of the solution, and so are you. That's quicksurge.com, QUIKSURG.com. That's QUIKSURG.com for QuickSurge, and he can help you out with your mole or your skin tag, your laceration, a minor cut from work, and all that sort of thing. He can get you stitched up, and his prices are fixed, and they are online. Lexus, the Japanese automaker, also known as the higher-end wing of Toyota, has built a working hoverboard, according to Ars Technica. The Back to the Future trilogy is an integral part of geek canon, and according to Ars Technica, we're now less than 4 months away from the date that Marty McFly traveled to in the second installment of Back to the Future, aka Back to the Future 2, Back to Future. That film offered us an interesting look at a future that in many ways is far beyond our own, while simultaneously missing things like smartphones and the internet. But in the same way that Motorola designers looked at Star Trek's communicators when making cell phones, others are trying to realize some of the other cool stuff that we saw in Back to the Future 2. Nike is working on real-life Air Mags with self-lacing technology, finally, and now Lexus has revealed it has actually built a hoverboard, and yeah, it seriously actually is a hoverboard. Now, how does it work? How can you possibly have a real, honest-to-goodness hoverboard? We've seen hoverboards that will work on plates of copper, sure, but copper is kind of expensive, and nobody has plates of copper to lay around in their house, so that sort of negates that whole idea. We saw that hoax video where they actually got some of the cast of Back to the Future, and I believe Tony Hawk as well, to try out their fake hoverboard, but that was fake. But Lexus apparently is for real with this hoverboard. So it's the perfect example of the amazing things that can be achieved when you combine technology, design, and imagination, says Mark Templin, a Lexus vice president. The hoverboard works on the same principle as a maglev train, with permanent magnets in the board, which repel liquid nitrogen-cooled superconducting magnets, causing the board to float. So there is a hitch. The board will only hover when it's got a strong magnetic field to repulse. In this case, the one provided by the liquid nitrogen-cooled superconducting magnets embedded in the ground upon which the board floats. So this is not going to be the sort of thing that you could use to zip to the shops anytime soon. In fact, Lexus has actually confirmed that the hoverboard is merely a prototype, and it's never going to be sold. Oh well. But still, that's one step closer to a real functioning, honest-to-goodness hoverboard that I could go out and buy and use to go to and from work, which I'd be very excited about. Even if I have to cool it with liquid nitrogen, I'm pretty sure liquid nitrogen per gallon may actually be less expensive than gasoline. I'm not sure, but I would be still, even if it's not, the novelty factor would be there. And I would definitely, no question about it, ride a hoverboard from my house to work every day. No questions asked. If you said, I have a hoverboard, and you can ride it from work to your home, would you use it? Of course I would use it. Even if there's great risk involved, even if I die in the process of using it, I would be one of the first people to say I rode a hoverboard from work to my house. So I would definitely be going for that. Hoverboards are one of the cooler technologies out there, and I wish we'd get off our butts and actually design them. Well, speaking of hovering aircraft, it's sort of an odd development on the side of the U.S. Department of Defense. There's been a hover bike that's been developed by a British firm, or I should say English firm, in the UK. And it actually is a hover bike. It uses quad rotors, much like a quadcopter that you see for the drones. It's the same principle. And it uses these technologies to basically fly you around. It's like a bike. You sit on it, and it has these big rotors that fly you around. And it's not much bigger than a four-door sedan. In fact, it may be smaller. So not a whole lot of downsides to this particular technology. Well, the U.S. Department of Defense is looking to buy this up so that they can use it for troop transport, of course. So anytime a cool technology comes out that we think is really neat, it's going to be used for killing people. Kind of like the Jeep. The Jeep was actually kind of a cool, rugged car. And guess what? The military uses it to kill people. Kind of like the Hummer, I should say. The Hummer was a really neat car. Terribly overpriced and terribly inefficient. I would never, ever buy one, but it looked kind of cool. But the government buys it up. So anytime there's a cool technology, government's going to buy it up so that we never get to use it, at least in a timely manner. Very unfortunate that we have to be stuck with that. Very unfortunate we have to be stuck with the Department of Defense, which isn't actually doing a very good job of defending us anyway, because they keep blowing up people who have nothing at all to do with any sort of conflict that we're involved in. But anyway, I'm seeing a lot of controversy about the Confederate flag recently, and it's stirred up mixed emotions, to say the least. It stirred up a lot of mixed emotions just for me personally, because I do have sort of I can see both sides of the argument. On the one hand, they're flying the wrong flag anyway, right? Like the Confederate battle flag does not make any sense to fly because we're not at war anymore. There's some who are going to say we're at ideological war or whatever. I don't care. It should definitely be the national flag instead of the battle flag. That just doesn't make any sense. Fly the national flag because that one looks cooler anyway. And its symbols don't mean much to me. in the digital age. And I think symbols are meaning a lot less to people in the digital age, because there are much better ways to express ourselves than physical objects. So it's kind of I don't know, on the one hand, yeah, it means a lot in terms of heritage to me. But on the other hand, it does seem like it is sort of historical at this point, and flying it around just seems to be needlessly provocative. But I understand both sides of the argument. So it's sort of an odd situation. I wouldn't stop you from flying it. I'll put it that way. I wouldn't stop you, but I wouldn't do it myself because I just don't see any need to. I'd rather come up with a new symbol to express my displeasure with the U.S. government.
This is a mob mode. This is a mob mode. What kind of fool do you think I am? Just think I know nothing of
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Hi, this is your computer speaking. I don't feel so well. It's like I've come down with a bug, and I'm getting slower.
Affordable Computers. We fix sick computers. Your hometown guys at Affordable Computers will repair your PC in half the time of the big boys at an affordable price. No tricks, no gimmicks, no computer speak technobabble. Just good, quick, and courteous affordable service and repairs. Want to affordably supercharge your PC? Affordable Computers on Highway 58. Affordable Computers hand builds all desktops in-house. If you're looking for a better-than-new refurb laptop, $150 will get you a Dell or another name brand at Affordable Computers. Affordable Computers, Highway 58, between Arby's and Taco Bell. Also Fort O, Battlefield Parkway, near Holcomb's. Affordable Computers, we service what we sell. Call 499-1975. That's 499-1975.
Wow, this is amazing. I'm feeling great. Supercharged.
Do you feel better outside your home or business than in? Indoor air quality is important. Mildew, mold, smoke, water, and rodent damage are prime causes of poor indoor air quality. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals, better known as Duct Busters, cleans HVAC systems using 127 definable Duct Busters steps. Let Mark Thompson address the indoor air quality at your business to help reduce employee illnesses. Prevent fires by cleaning your dryer vents. Mark and his parents, Dick and Joan Thompson, have been building our local economy and helping local people with HVAC systems 16 years. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals. Call 876-9907. 876-9907. Ducks. Call now.
We've got a table here at Delia's in Saudi Daisy, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia's spreads a rich selection: loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork, quesadillas. Every dish beautifully pictured on the menu to help us decide. Join us for lunch or dinner. We're at Delia's in Saudi Daisy on Dayton Pike near the Thrasher Light. Here's dinner. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nachos, homemade. Delia's open every day except the Lord's Day. For lunch and dinner, treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. In Saudi, call 521-7145. That's 521-7145.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
You love your hometown. Are you interested in free markets, in local economy? Do you hope that Chattanooga can survive the next meltdown, the next chain of disasters in the national economy? What's the best way to live out the ideals of self-government and self-determination? Join me, David Toulis, weekdays 1 to 3.
Host News Talk 1240.
Love your neighbor, buy local.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Host News Talk 1240.
This is a Fox News Alert. I'm Lillian Wu.
We finally declared that in America, health care is not a privilege for a few, but a right for all.
The president speaking after a major victory in the Supreme Court, which in a ruling preserved a key aspect of Obamacare.
A 6-3 opinion authored by Chief Justice John Roberts keeps the Affordable Care Act and subsidy for more than 6 million Americans intact.
Fox Radio's Jared Halpern outside the court. It might be Univision's way of saying you're fired, dropping the Miss USA pageant and cutting all business ties with Donald Trump, who co-owns the Miss Universe organization. He made comments about immigrants from Mexico and Latin America.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
And TV actor Dustin Diamond sentenced to 4 months in jail for a barroom stabbing in Wisconsin. Fox News, we report, you decide.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Talk 1240.
There I was, in the room. There was no communication. There was no contact with the outside world. I was stuck there with my parents in this living hell, this prison that we were all stuck in. I couldn't even call for help because there was no help to get. I was without Wi-Fi, and that is a living hell. I hate being without Wi-Fi. Being without Wi-Fi is actually one of the worst things you can ever do to the 21st century modern man. And a lot of people say, how dare you? There are starving kids in Africa, and to which I say, yeah, but how am I going to donate to them with no Wi-Fi? I can't donate to them without any internet access. So get off your high horse. I need the internet so I can give money to the kids in Africa, you bunch of idiots. Well, I hate not having internet access. But for some reason, a luxury hotel thinks it'd be a really good idea to get rid of access to the internet. Yeah. So a luxury hotel is offering an internet kill switch to help guests disconnect. Gee, thanks. What do I want to do in my hotel? Well, nothing, because I'm in my hotel. I don't want to do anything. Maybe I'll go down to the pool, except I don't like swimming, so I probably wouldn't do that, but hey, why not? Maybe I'll go down to the pool. Maybe I'll go to the bar. Oh, wait, I'm not old enough. Maybe I'll go down to the restaurant. Oh, wait, it's closed. Well, maybe I'll watch TV. Oh, wait, I don't like TV. So what do? Well, I use the internet. Oh, wait, you turned off the internet, you jerks. Well, a luxury hotel in Germany has installed an internet kill switch in its rooms, giving guests an easy way to completely disconnect during their stays. As the Financial Times is reporting, these silver switches have been installed at the Villa Stefani, I don't know, Gwen Stefani, a spa resort in the German town of Baden-Baden? I have no idea. When turned on, the switch activates a copper grid that blocks all wireless signal. Oh, it's a Faraday cage, acting as a, Faraday cage for each room. The hotel has also installed a special coating on its room's walls, which it claims can block 96% of surrounding Wi-Fi signals. Why? Why would you? What if there's an emergency? What if I have a voice over IP phone? That's the only way I can communicate. It's just a bad idea all around. That's such a bad idea. Frank Marenbach, chief executive of the Oetker Collection, which owns the Villa Stefani, says around half of the hotel's guests have chosen to activate the switch at some point during their stay. Why? Maybe they have a bunch of old people who go to Baden-Baden or Baden-Baden, I'm not sure, who go to this hotel in Germany, and they pay, with their euros, and they get in their hotel room, and they say, you know what? I not want the internet. Turn off the internet, please. Which is a mixture of like 8 different accents, by the way. I have no idea what it's doing there. And they turn off the internet for why? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Well, other hotels and tourist companies have offered digital detox programs in recent years, though none have gone quite as far as a Villa Stefani. Marenbach believes features like his company's Kill Switch will only become more common over the coming years. Please, no. As people continue to seek peace and mindfulness in a connected world. Oh, it's not a sign of smartness to constantly look at incoming messages, he told the Financial Times. I think it is. This is not smart. This is stupid. Smart is to devote time when it is time to do so. Smart is to read things in a profound way. Wow. I feel like that's going to be scrawled on the side of some prison someday. Not a reference to Nazi Germany, by the way. That would be entirely tasteless. I would not do such a thing. But it seems, gosh, who would do that, man? I don't think people understand. I'm an addict. I mean, for real, I'm addicted to a lot of things, and I'm very proud of the things I'm addicted to. I'm addicted to coffee. I'm addicted to nicotine to a small extent. I'm not addicted because I can choose when I don't want to have it and whatever. So I have a slight inclination towards nicotine and coffee. And I don't even want to go to rehab because I don't need it. I need the internet. I have to have the internet. If somebody takes that away from me, I go berserk. I actually go nuts. Yesterday, give you a good example. Yesterday, I didn't have access to the internet, and it was just really slow. I had access to it, but it was really slow. I think I was getting 16 kilobits per second upload speed. No kidding. That's as fast as I could, or download speed, sorry. That's as fast as I could get. So no Netflix, no YouTube, unless I want to watch it in 5-second increments. No anything. except for text-based websites, which I know a few of, but they get boring after a little while. So there's no Imager, there's no 4chan, there's no anything other than bash.org, basically. And it took forever for any sort of image to load. It was terrible. It was a living hell, especially because I had work to do. I needed to transfer an audio file from here to my house in order to edit it. And I mean, that's work. That's what I do for a living. I edit audio and I talk into the radio and I gather news stories. That's my job. And suddenly my internet at home is keeping me from doing my job. It's terrible. Why would anyone intentionally go without that? I don't get it. But, you know, there are arguments to be made for it, I suppose. There are people who are like, oh, you're just addicted to the internet. You just need the internet because you have some addiction to it. Well, yeah, I do. I am. I'm proud of it. I need the internet. If it went away, I don't know what I'd do. If there's some sort of EMP detonation and there's no internet for me to learn about it, well, for one, I'd die in the blast of radiation from a nuclear bomb that caused such an EMP blast. But secondly, I'd die just from lack of information. I need to have information about the surrounding world. If I can't gather information, then I may as well not exist anymore, because my purpose in existence is parsing information anyway. So if I can't do that, then I may as well not even exist anymore. So if you're into sadism and masochism, then definitely go to this luxury hotel in Baden-Baden or Baden-Baden over in Germany, where they will be very helpful in keeping you away from the internet. Gosh, no thanks, man. Of course, it is optional. Like, you can choose not to set it up, but just the fact that the option is there scares me, because somebody might mess up and accidentally turn the switch on for me, and they say, oh, Versailles, we turned the switch on for you. We will be fixing that in about 2 hours because we're doing daily maintenance. And it's like, well, gee, thanks a lot. And I would probably return with some snarky comment in a really bad German accent, and I'd get punched in the neck. But still, well, anyway, enough of that. In pilot programs, Ford embraces a world where not everyone owns a car. Well, that's a world that's kind of scary to think about, where not everyone owns a car. Now, I have certainly been in many situations where my car didn't work. I can cite one from just today, actually, because I parked here at work, and I for reasons I don't want to get into, I had to come to work really early. It was about 6 o'clock in the morning when I came in. And I know you're laughing, saying that you get up at 5 every morning, but 6 in the morning is really early to me. So come on. But I had to get up extremely early at 6 in the morning or 5 in the morning. And I got here around 6:30 or so. And I get out of my car and I notice that my taillights are still on. And that, like, gosh, my battery's going to die now. My taillights are on. What am I going to do? Well, what I did was, after much rigmarole, I did a little bit of research on the internet and discovered that, the 1994 Nissan Pathfinder, which is a vehicle I own, has a problem with the brake switch, the brake sensor, which is located underneath the brake pedal. So what I did was I crawled underneath the brake pedal, I monkeyed around with the switch a few times, discovered it was actually loose, tightened it up, and my brake lights went off again. So all was solved. But I definitely know what it's like to have car problems. That's extremely minor compared to what my other car is going through, which is misfiring and I think a bad coil pack and gosh. But anyway, so I understand and sympathize with a world where not everyone has a car, because cars are expensive. They're an investment. No doubting that. Cars are really expensive to maintain. Cars are really expensive just to keep them running, right? Because you have to pay money for maintenance. You also have to pay sometimes $15 a month for a week, I should say, for gas. And that's expensive for a lot of people, for myself included. Well, Ford does not think that everyone needs to own a Ford. Thank goodness, because I don't want to. But it still wants non-car owners to drive them. The company said this week that it will be testing a car-sharing pilot program to learn about how willing Ford owners are to share their vehicles. As part of the program, people who buy their cars through the company's credit arm, Ford Credit, will be invited to offset their monthly payments by allowing drivers to rent their cars by the hour. The company also launched an in-house car sharing program in London. So essentially, it's Uber for Ford, which is what it's inevitably going to be described as in some future article. Anyway, this is an Ars Technica article, by the way. The pilot program in the United States will take place through GetAround, an existing mobile platform that lets users list their cars and rent them out to pre-screened drivers. GetAround already operates in California, in Berkeley, Oakland, San Francisco, as well as Portland, Oregon, and Washington, D.C. Ford's pilot program called Peer-to-Peer Car Sharing will also take the program to Chicago, where GetAround has yet to launch, and to London through a car-sharing service called Easy Car Club. Ford will be reaching out to about 14,000 U.S. car owners who finance their Fords on credit, asking them if they'd like to participate in this program. It will do the same for 12,000 such customers in London as well. So Ford is trying to stay relevant, and I'm not sure if it's working. I don't know many people who own Fords. I think I know 2 people who own Ford vehicles, and neither of them are very happy about them. It's a Ford, what's the one? Taurus. I know a guy who owns a Ford Taurus, and he's not very happy with it. And I think I know somebody else who owns a Ford Taurus. I don't remember what that person's reaction to it was, but it was, I just don't like Fords, man. I just do not like American cars. That sounds really edgy and contrarian. It's really not. I've owned several. I've driven a Dodge Neon, didn't like it. I've driven a Ford Windstar, the minivan, didn't like that one either. Ford Explorer, aka Exploder, drove that one, didn't like it. I don't know. I'm kind of biased anyway, because I don't like the style of American cars. They're just big and bulky and needlessly so. They're just big and they're bulky and they break down all the time. And people are like, well, if you don't want to pay for it, why even buy one? It's like, well, yeah, I don't want to pay for slip belts every 3 miles, and I don't want to pay for the transmission to blow up, even though the car is from like 2000 and that shouldn't be happening. This is around 2005 when we're talking about. But anyway, yeah, not a fan of American cars. I tend to go for the Japanese cars way faster than I go for American cars. Even actually Korean cars with, I almost said Mitsubishi, that's incorrect, with Kia. They actually look kind of cool, so I don't know. But anyway, wireless charging for your phone is finally going to be fast as well as convenient, according to The Verge. Now, there's been wireless charging for your phone for actually quite a while, although you may not have had occasion to take advantage of it because it's not necessarily in everywhere. You know, you can't just go down to Starbucks and wirelessly charge your phone. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. You could, but Starbucks does not have such a program for that to happen, so you can't. But wireless charging is finally going to be quick as well as convenient. Wireless charging, according to The Verge, has always felt pretty futuristic, of course. I mean, who doesn't want to set their phone down on their side table and just have it charged that way? Now it's going to get fast, too. But the Wireless Power Consortium, or WPC, has announced a forthcoming update to the QI standard that will allow it to deliver up to 15 watts of power to smartphones without using cables. Pretty cool, right? Several manufacturers already offer wired fast charging for their devices, providing as much as 60% charge in as little as 30 minutes. The latest QI specification empowers them to extend this speed to wireless charging as well, so the WPC in a press conference, or a press release, I should say. There's no word on when compatible devices will hit the market, but the QI standard is currently supported by the likes of Samsung and LG, so keep an eye on these manufacturers for your future fast charging needs. And IKEA Furniture is also looking at developing wireless charging furniture. No, the furniture doesn't charge wirelessly. The furniture charges your phone wirelessly. I know wording in English is very confusing because English wording can be ambiguous, to put it lightly. It can be ambiguous if we're going to be generous towards the American language. American language is not a Romance language, and thus, while it does take a lot of roots from Latin, it takes a lot of roots from old Nordic Norse languages as well, which is why it doesn't make any sense at all. If it was a Romance language like French, then it would make complete sense, except French likes to add letters to the end of words that are mere garnishments that don't mean anything to the end of how it's pronounced. It's, it's O, be it AEUX or it's OT. So I don't know. But IKEA's new furniture can actually charge your phone with no wires. So are you interested in tying down your furniture to a technology standard that's far from standard right now? According to The Verge, then you might be interested in some new products that are going to be on sale at IKEA in North America and Europe this spring. The Swedish furniture company has partnered with the Wireless Power Consortium, building QI wireless device chargers into a line of lamps and other small pieces of furniture like bedside tables. You can also buy a small IKEA-designed pad to charge QI, or rather to add QI charging to any surface. QI is the name of the standard, by the way, for wireless phone charging. It appears that it's going to be the main standard because we have sort of a Betamax VHS problem where, say, Betamax was obviously the superior format back in the 80s and 90s. Betamax was obviously superior, had higher quality. I don't think it has long record time, but still it looked better. But VHS came out, and for some reason people jumped all over that, so we used VHS instead. It's kind of like Laserdisc was obviously superior to VHS, but it was big and bulky, and you had to use multiple sides, and people didn't like that. So Laserdisc went the way of the dinosaur, while VHS continued on even into the mid-2000s. So that's sort of what we're seeing with this wireless charging technology, where there's QI, and then there's other formats as well, like one that's backed by the Power Matters Alliance called PMA charging. So you have PMA, and then you have the Wireless Power Consortium's QI. So you have basically you have PMA and QI, and the two are sort of competing. But it looks like QI is going to be getting some traction from manufacturers such as Samsung and LG. So Samsung, of course, is a major phone manufacturer, holding, I'm not sure if it's a majority yet, but holding a very large share, market share in Android products, possibly even beating Apple. So probably we're going to be seeing wireless charging from QI being the standard, because it has been adopted by LG and Samsung, which are two of the most important Android manufacturers next to next to Samsung. Nokia. There we go. No, not Nokia. What's the other one I'm thinking of? There's Samsung, then there's LG, and then there's Motorola. That's the one I'm thinking of. Motorola has not come out with a QI standard yet, I don't think. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. Speaking of Samsung, it managed to make Microsoft kind of mad with its business practices, to the point where Windows might not be on some Samsung phones, or Samsung laptops, I should say. So according to The Verge, mere months after Lenovo's Superfish adware debacle, Samsung has this week raised fresh concern about Windows vulnerabilities caused by PC manufacturers messing around behind the scenes. Microsoft MVP Patrick Barker has identified a small program titled disable_windowsupdate.exe, part of Samsung's SW Update tool, which does pretty much what its name suggests. It disables Windows Update. The executable prevents Windows Update from automatically running in the background and forces users looking to get the latest software updates from Microsoft to do so manually, which nobody wants to do because Microsoft puts out an update every 5 minutes. So this makes it very difficult for us to safely run a Windows install on a Samsung computer. Now, the option here would be to just do a fresh install of Windows completely independent of anything that Samsung has installed on your machine. This can be easily done simply by buying yourself a Windows install disk, formatting the drive on your brand new Samsung laptop, and then installing Windows from that install disk. And you're going to have to install drivers and such. But that would be the way to avoid that. Although that may not be an option if Samsung has installed this particular Windows Update removal tool into its driver packages, which would make things kind of obnoxious because then there'd be no way to avoid it. So I don't know. Samsung is a very normally actually a quite good company when it comes to phones and laptops. So I'm actually very surprised at Samsung for doing such a thing. Microsoft is understandably not very pleased about this situation. Leaving Windows Update dormant is not recommended, to say the least. If you have an unupdated version of Windows on your computer, you're easily susceptible to hacks and other such exploits. Leaving Windows Update dormant is definitely not recommended because it serves as the delivery mechanism for critical system and security updates. A Microsoft spokesperson has made this point clear in a statement sent to VentureBeat, saying, Windows Update remains a critical component of our security commitment to our customers. We do not recommend disabling or modifying Windows Update in any way, as this could expose a customer to increased security risks. We are in contact with Samsung to address this issue. So why does Samsung feel the need to prevent Microsoft's security agent from keeping its PC secure and updated? Barker extended his investigation by reaching out to Samsung's support team and was told the following. When you enable Windows updates, it will install the default drivers for all the hardware on the laptop, which may not work. For example, there is USB 3.0 in the laptop, and the ports may not work with the installation of updates. So to prevent this, the software, or rather SW Update tool, will prevent Windows from pulling off these updates. So in other words, Microsoft's default drivers might not work with Samsung's laptop components, so the company is preventing them from overwriting its own software by disabling Windows Update from running on the system when it starts. Surely there's another more efficient way of doing that, but basically they're trying to nip it in the bud and stop Windows Update from continuing on. So if you have a Samsung laptop, keep in mind that it might not be as safe as you think, and you should definitely go to the Windows website and download the latest update just to be sure, because you don't want to have a system that's running a very much insecure version of Windows on your laptop, because even one version behind is one too many. Well, we're all probably sick of being spied on by now. I'm sure you are, and I know I am. Well, Google might be helping out by spying on us with Chromium. And have you ever used your phone where you say, you know, okay, Google, and it searches things for you? It's actually a lot of fun. Well, Chromium voice extension has now been pulled after spying concerns, according to Ars Technica. Google has removed an extension from Chromium, which is the open source sibling to the Chrome browser, after accusations that its extension was installed surreptitiously and subsequently eavesdropped on Chromium users. The issue first came to light in late May when a bug was filed in the Debian bug tracker. Chromium version 43 was seen downloading a binary extension from Google, and there was neither any ability to prevent this download nor any source code available for the extension. The extension, called Chrome Hotword, was found to be responsible for providing the browser's OK Google functionality. Although it is off by default, both Chrome and Chromium, when set to use Google as a default search engine, can permanently listen to the microphone and respond instantly to voice queries, with OK Google being used as the trigger keyword. Now, this is actually standard with a lot of voice-activated software. Just as an example, there was a smart TV that was the target of a lot of debate and quite a few questions because of its voice recognition capabilities, where you had a smartphone or a smart TV that would actually listen to you and wait for you to say the keyword. In this case, it's OK Google. I'm not sure what it was with the smart TV. But in order to pick up on that phrase, it kind of has to listen to everything you say. Another example is Amazon Echo, where it actually seriously does listen to everything you say, and it keeps a 2-second buffer before and after the key phrase. So that's what they claim anyway, although they also claim it doesn't send information to Amazon. There's not really any way of making sure that's true except for using a packet sniffer and identifying packets that are being sent from Amazon Echo to Amazon servers. But that's a whole long process that actually probably someone is going to do eventually. So until that happens, I can't tell you or not whether or not Amazon Echo is secure. Now we're getting way too nerdy. The point of the matter is voice recognition software is an invasion of your privacy. There's no questioning that. There's no doubt about that. But it's mostly done voluntarily. When you sign up to use the Google product, you kind of understand that your information is going to be used for analytics purposes, right? Like you use Google and you type in stuff in your emails, you know Google is using that for selling ads. They kind of have to. That's how they support themselves. Google's ad software is actually what keeps Google in business. It seriously is. So it's hard to say Google is bad for using this ad software when it's what their whole business has been since almost the beginning. So it leads to a very annoying situation with a interesting parallel that can be drawn. With situations where you're using a company such as Google, you have the option to not use Google. You can just not use Google. You can use DuckDuckGo. You can use Yahoo. You can use Bing. You can use whatever search engine you want. It's not going to be as easy to not use these certain search engines such as Google, but it can be done. There's the option there. When we're talking about NSA spying, there's not really any opting out of that. There's no option for you here except to move out of the country. And even then, that's not a very good option because you're still going to get spied on if you move to pretty much any English-speaking country, including France and probably including Switzerland as well. So you're going to have quite a few problems avoiding NSA spying. There's no opt-out clause for NSA spying, whereas there very much is with Google because you can just not use it. It's not like you can just not use the NSA spying because they're going to do it on you anyway. There's no real way to avoid it. It's not voluntary. This is not a voluntary society that we live in. It can't possibly be. It's a society that's backed by force. It's a society that essentially steals your money in order to provide services that you don't want or need. That's not a voluntary society, and it's not a moral society either. But that's what we're stuck with. That's not a local economy society. That's a national economy society. That's a globalist society. And that's what we have now. But we can fix that. Nuganomics.com with David Tools is offering solutions right here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240.
This is a mob mode. This is the mob mode. What kind of fool do you think I am? You think I know nothing of the mind? Don't worry, just relax. You need a car. Come to Automax.
My wife and I keep the cost down. We sell a quality vehicle at a great price. Our overhead is low. I have no employees, so I can keep my costs down. In turn, the consumer gets a better price. Everything that I sell is emission ready. We really try to go the extra mile for our customer. I don't have to pay an employee commission. I don't have to pay somebody to come out here and wash my cars. You know, I do it all from buying to selling from A to Z. I don't have the overhead where I have to raise the price on my vehicle to cover costs. Here at Automax, you're going to guarantee that you get get credit. As long as you're making those payments, you're going to build on your credit. Unlike the buy here, pay here's where they don't report to credit bureaus, we report to all 3 credit bureaus. The subprime lenders that we deal with, you don't have to have any credit, or you can have bad credit. You can even have a bankruptcy, a repossession.
Don't worry, just relax. You need a car. Come to Automax.
Automax, across from Central High on Highway 58 in Harrison. Automax, 643-2886. That's 643-2886. Go to automaxchat.com. That's automaxchat.com.
Surgery does not have to be financially painful. Hi, I'm Surgical Dr. David Red, and I'd like to invite you to my walk-in surgery clinic in North Shore. Quick Surge brings you immediate relief from moles, skin tags, maybe a laceration. Quick Surge. You walk in, fill out a mini form, I numb the area I'll treat, and before you know it, you're on your way home. Do I take insurance? No, because I take cash customers. I have super low and fixed prices, credit card, check, or cash. Uninsured? Member of the working financially disadvantaged? Choose Quick Surge. I publish prices online. No murk, just sunshine. Hassle-free, pain-free. Love the idea of a personal relationship with a doctor? Drop in with a nasty cut from work. Quick Surge. I'll take care of you. Quick Surge in the Public Center on the North Shore. No insurance hassles with Quick Surge. The national medical system is dysfunctional, overpriced, very alienating. I'm part of the solution, and so are you. Come on home. QuickSurge.com. QUIKSURG. Relief.
Are you calling me yeller? Them's is fighting words.
Being called yellow, not a compliment. Yellow, the international symbol for caution. Yellow. You certainly wouldn't want to eat yellow snow. Yuck. We typically avoid yellow. So why would you put your hard-earned money into an outdated, expensive, slower yellow page? Or even trust their advice? Especially when your hard-earned advertising dollars could go much further, earning you greater profits, using the multifaceted resources and expertise of Chattanooga Web Services. You want real results for your advertising dollars. The local Chattanooga media experts, Chattanooga Web Services, will help your business grow, utilizing diversified media resources that's affordable to you, whether it involves the internet's World Wide Web, video, audio, or modern-day print. So don't get sucked into the yellow folks trying to upsell you into spending even more money as it ventures into a territory unfamiliar to them, the internet. Call Chattanooga Web Services, 424-3373. That's 424-3373. Or go to ChattanoogaWebServices.com, ChattanoogaWebServices.com.
When my brother and I opened our first Jets Pizza, we believed if we made the best pizza, customers would find us. So we made fresh dough each day, used fresh toppings, and premium mozzarella cheese. 300-plus stores later, we still do.
Try Jet's famous 8-corner pizza with premium mozzarella cheese and one topping, now just $11.99 for a limited time only. Jet's Pizza, the